Good evening, everyone. We'll bring this committee of the whole meeting to order. What are we for time? 6:01 maybe? That's not bad. We had a little presentation, a pleasurable one at that, prior to our meeting tonight. Our Youth Bursary Awards recipients were here in person. Macy Greer was the $1,000 award recipient. Asia Johnson McBride was a $600 award recipient, and Mackenzie Swan was a $400 award recipient. That presentation, as I indicated, just took place with pictures and family, and it was great to see them all. Congratulations to each of them. As I'm calling this meeting to order, I think we acknowledged it at 6:01. Michelle, did you want to handle land acknowledgement?
Certainly, thank you. With gratitude, the Township of Leeds and Thousand Islands acknowledges these lands and waters are the traditional territory of the Algonquin, Mississaugas, Mohawks, and Huron-Wendat. To recognize the role the township must play in truth and reconciliation, we also acknowledge the displacement of these peoples. Additionally, the township would like to respectfully acknowledge the First Nation, Inuit, and Métis peoples who also call this place home. We make this land acknowledgement to honor the Indigenous ancestors who have stewarded these lands and waters since time immemorial.
Thank you. I should mention that our mayor is away today and isn't able to chair this meeting, thus I am doing so on her behalf. Thank you. I also want to mention tonight is the first night for our new council member, and Todd Robertson. We welcome you to the council chambers.
Thank you.
And, well, good to have you here. The adoption of the agenda moved by Councillor Kelman. Sorry, moved by Councillor. Sorry.
Leclerc.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought you were saying something different. Moved by Councillor Leclerc, seconded by Councillor Kelman. The agenda be adopted with an amendment to include correspondence on agenda item 11.1, which we'll get to when we get to there. There was a piece of correspondence sent in to us. Is there any questions on the agenda? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. A declaration of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Does anyone have any pecuniary interest? None tonight? Okay, we're all good. There's no closed session, so there's no requirement there. The same with delegations. There are no delegations, there's no briefings, and public meetings, there are none. So our first item here is the staff reports. Moved by Councillor Maybe, seconded by Councillor Antoine Hartley, that the Committee of the Whole recommends that Council approve the extension of the contract for OPS 2025-019 Lansdowne Village and Municipal Waste Collection with Amterra Environmental for the period of July 1st, 2026 through to June 30th, 2027. Council questions or Councillor Maybe, go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And through you, this contract, when it becomes, gets to the end of its term next year or before that, a tender will be put out for the new contract. And what will the duration of the contract be?
Through you, I'm not able to answer the duration of the next contract, but it would absolutely be put through a tender process in accordance with our procurement bylaw. There's a number of things we need to consider in terms of waste management going forward. So that'll be in future reports coming forward to council.
Any further question? No? And yeah, go ahead, Councillor Robertson.
Through you, I just had a question around the length of the original contract.
Through you, it was a year.
Yeah, just a year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions from members of council? No? Well, then I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Approved. Okay. On staff report, 9.2. Budget request for the studies of support wastewater environmental assessment. The recommendation that the committee of the whole recommend that council approve $70,000 in additional capital budget for the sanitary municipal class environmental assessment to be funded by the wastewater reserve fund. Are there any questions from council regarding this proposal? I should, yes, I should. You're right, I should. Moved by Councillor Antoine Hartley, seconded by Councillor Maybe, that the committee of the whole recommend that council approve the $70,000 in additional capital budget for the sanitary municipal class environmental assessment to be funded by the wastewater reserve fund. Now, any questions from Councillor Maybe?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. One of the things is the expansion. What else will be required in the future for the potential expansion of Lansdowne in regards to this? Or is this part and parcel to actually give us that answer going forward?
Through you. This will give us that answer going forward. So reports have been previously brought forward that indicated that there are capacity limits with our infrastructure. And so what the CA is doing is looking at what we currently have and what options may be available to accommodate additional capacity within the existing ponds through treatment or other mechanisms, as well as looking at what expansion might look like going forward to include expansion could be one of those options, but it may not be. So this is looking at how we increase our capacity going forward.
Just as a follow-up question, if I don't mind. A couple of years ago, we had some other items come to our table on the wastewater, let alone the freshwater and the changes that we're making this current year. Was any of that part of this, or is this actually stemmed from that report?
All of those previous reports have built to bring us to the point that we're at today, which this is the next step logically in terms of looking at wastewater and in terms of looking at drinking water, potable water. Those were the other reports that
Yes,
we brought forward as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Councillor Robertson?
Thank you, and through you, sir. And I apologize to everybody. You may have the answers to these questions already. I may be asking.
No, that's just fine.
So as I was reviewing, question that came out for me, the main one was obviously the 3 studies that are being proposed were not included in the scope of the original RFP. So how did the need for these studies come about?
Through you, in going back and looking at the contract award for the EA, it was specifically identified through different addendums that these works were not, or that these studies would be required by some of the people that put in on the bid. And it was identified specifically in the contract for the award of this work that these 3 studies would be required, but would be the responsibility of the township to fund and procure.
Okay. And if I can, a follow-up, what the $70,000, what percentage increase in that is that on the original awarded contract?
We'll have our finance wizard answer that question for us. Oh, sorry.
The original award is approximately $250,000. So I don't know the exact percentage, but it's $70,000 on 250.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this topic? If not, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? None? Carried. (9.3) Moved by Councillor Maybe, seconded by Councillor Antoine Hartley, that the Committee of the Whole receives Fire Services Report 2026-013, and that the Committee of the Whole recommends that Council give bylaw 0-027, first, second, and third reading, and final approval to allow the mayor and the clerk to sign an automatic aid agreement for the services with the Township of South Frontenac. Madam Acting CAO, do you want to comment on this, or the fire chief will? Okay. Fire Chief Mike Pryor, do you want to make some comments on this, please?
Through you, with the closure of Brass Point Bridge, we have a much longer response time around to get to the residents that are on that side of the water. We've had a standing agreement with South Frontenac Fire in the past because we haven't been able to get any big trucks across that bridge in some time. But now we won't be able to get across quickly at all, even in a pickup truck for the next however long the process takes. So in conversations with the chief in South Frontenac, we've decided we were going to put together a formalized automatic aid agreement so everybody's covered on liability wise and such. So they'll continue to respond. We'll still respond to the call. It'll just take us a little bit longer to get around there. So
Okay.
it still has to go to their council to be approved, but in principle, the fire chiefs have agreed to what it looks like. So
Thank you. Are there any questions of the fire chief? Councillor Maybe? Sorry.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And through you, I have probably three questions here. The last one was how long does it take to come around to service with the bridge out, even though South Frontenac's going to be there?
through your worship, we're looking at probably an extra 23 minutes of response time. So regardless of whether the
Yeah.
bridge was in or not, South Frontenac's still faster
Faster,
than we're going to
yeah.
be. That's kind of the best we can do. And depending on where it is, there is a gate on a private lane that currently is locked up, but we also have the tools to be able to make our way through that if we need
Yes,
to.
I'm sure you do. My other another question was, if they are, is there any financial compensation because they're going to be first on scene, because of the duration of time it's going to take to get around? Is there any agreement that way for something fairly extensive?
Through you, not at this time. We have multiple automatic aid agreements with departments around. It's very much like mutual aid, except that when we call for mutual aid, whereas automatic aid happens where we have, if a resident has a fire call on their property, that call goes to Brockville Dispatch, they automatically dispatch us and South Frontenac at the same time.
Yep.
So it's just a timing thing.
Okay.
But there's no money changes hands due to
And
that.
just as a follow-up to that question, how often do we end up in South Frontenac helping them?
Through you, I think we've been to South Frontenac probably 4 or 5 times in the last 8 years.
Okay.
And since I've been here, we've had one call on that side of the bridge for our own
Yes.
place. So.
Yes. And my last question, if I could please, with the Brass Point Bridge redo, was there any discussion from us in the township to the federal government on weight capacity of this particular bridge, of increasing it? Did they come to us at all to ask any questions?
Through you, they did not come to us at all about it, but I was in conversation with some of the engineers on it, and they've been provided with the sizes of our trucks. I don't imagine they're upgrading it to that point, but
Yeah.
that remains to be seen.
Would have been nice to have had that increase to a suitable size to accommodate a fully loaded truck, not just an empty truck. Yeah. Thank you.
Other questions, Councillor Coleman? Did you have a question?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Maybe. I was questioning the finances as well, whether there was any sort of billing done for calls, but answered already. Thank you.
Okay. Any other council members have questions? Go ahead, Councillor Roberts.
Through you, sir. Section 2.5 of the agreement speaks of a refusal to provide service by a fire chief, which struck me. It wasn't something that I had seen before. So I just wondered if there was any further information on what sort of a scenario might lead to that, and if so, what the contingency plan was.
Sorry. 2.5, sorry.
Yes.
Through you, in all of these agreements, we have the ability to refuse the service. And the only reason they would do that is if they're tied up at something else. So it would delay the process of them getting there. They'd try to send whatever they could, but we'd also be responding. It's one of the things that are in every one of our agreements, just because they have the right to refuse depending on what they have happening in South Frontenac, and that would be the only reason they would.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions from council? No? Just my own comment from reading this. Like Councillor maybe had indicated, with the weight capacity, it's rather alarming that a new bridge would replace an older bridge and have a lesser capacity. I'm thinking of, heavier pieces of equipment, whatever they may be, are expecting when it opens that they can go back to norm, and that may not be the case in some cases. So obviously there'll be new signage and all that to come forward, but it is disappointing to think we're going backwards on weight capacity while we're trying to go forward with a new bridge. No other questions? I'll call the question here. All those in favor? All those opposed? And carried. Whoop. Anyway here. 9.4, the donation policy. This is Todd. Okay. Moved by Councillor Robertson. I need a seconder for this, Councillor. Thank you. Sorry, Angie Kelman. I was reading and less thinking. The committee of the whole recommends the council to grant 3 readings and final passage to bylaw 2026-026, being a bylaw to establish a donation policy for the township as attached to corporate services 2026-018. Questions, comments from council? Councillor Kelman.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and through you. I have a couple of questions for the treasurer. In 5.0 of the policy itself, it talks about responsibilities of council and township staff. And one of those is basically saying that council can receive donations on behalf of the township. And I would be very cautious myself about what would be a scenario when a counselor would be receiving a donation on behalf of the township that would be okay.
Through you, Mayor, that would be more, I guess that's kind of some pomp and pageantry. Typically when we're receiving donations, if it's a large enough donation and people like photo ops and they're doing things of that nature, I would emphasize on the first part of that line where it says exercise integrity and good business judgment. So the policy does speak to things like perceived or real conflicts of interest. I would definitely say that counselors should not be receiving donations on an ad hoc basis. That wouldn't be good business judgment, in my opinion. Typically, any donations received are usually working through departments. Typically, we receive donations frequently through fire, for example, with Mike. The fire services has many partnerships where we receive donations every year. So that's more.
So it's more of a ceremonial.
Ceremonial, yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you. And second question, if I may, Deputy Mayor. In 6.0, it talks about the review process, and if a review had to be conducted, who would be conducting the review? Would that be yourself or would that be the CAO?
Through your Mayor, that would be typically myself, the CAO, and then possibly another director as well. Typically in a review, I prefer to have more than just 2 people. Just in case there's any disagreement on opinions, it's always good to have more than 2.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council? I must admit I had a question for acting CAO before the meeting started. This, we didn't have a policy before, apparently, right? So this is new to put it in paper, in print form, so we have a reference point. Did you have a comment?
Yeah, through you, Mayor. Yeah, I would just say we didn't have a formal policy. We certainly in practice were following CRA guidelines. Principles. So I think it's important to say that this is just morality and housekeeping of establishing a policy. And it does set a threshold for staff, $10,000. So if staff was presented with an opportunity to receive a donation in excess of 10,000, that would have to come to council before being accepted. So there are some thresholds in that regard, but really it's more housekeeping, and we have been doing best practices and following CRA up until now.
Right. And then there's a reference point if there needs to be a discussion with staff or whomever. Correct? Okay. No more questions? Then I'll call the vote. All those in favor? I guess there's no opposed, so it's carried. It's twice tonight. Moved by, 9.5, if you're following through on the agenda by numerical numbers. The supply and application of slurry seal, moved by Councillor Kelman and seconded by Miss Monique's. No?
That's the message. Or Chris's and Angie's.
Oh, sorry, I got it backwards. Moved by, all right. Moved by Councillor Robertson, seconded by Councillor Kelman, that the Committee of the Whole recommends that Council approve the award of the Township's joint procurement with the Front of Young for tender OPS-2026-009 for the supply and application of slurry seal to Greenwood Paving Limited in the amount of $147,369.60 plus net HST. Comments, questions on the subject? Councillor Maybe.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, through you. With this budget, we end up having a $17,000 savings from the budgeted dollar amount. So that's always a plus and good to see it happening. And this Greenwood Paving, it's a name I haven't seen before, so I don't know if anybody has any background on them.
Any comments from anyone?
Yeah.
I have seen them around. Yeah. I believe they're out of Kingston, but I wouldn't want to be quoted on that. Any other questions on this topic? The only question I had when I was reading the agenda, we approved in the budget, I believe was what, 165 for the year. Were we anticipating other roads that maybe haven't been put forward, or was that to cover just this one? That was just this one. So you're correct, Councillor, maybe in the savings department, so that's great. Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And carried. We'll carry on to 10.1, information on roadside brush cutting operations. Does anyone have any questions regarding or comments regarding the report on brush cutting? You all received that complete with pictures. Councillor Robertson.
Yes, thank you, and through you. First of all, excellent report. Just wanted to get that out there. Very informative, lots of detail. My question was around the process of following up with chainsaws, et cetera, in certain instances where there was concern about the scalping nature of the machine being used. And so my question around that is, any gains that are being achieved through the use of the machine, are they being countered by having to follow up with chainsaws, et cetera?
Through you, this is our first year using this equipment, so at this point, I know that it's much more efficient than what was used previously. We are working on a number of processes now to sort of smooth out the approach and going back with chainsaws, cleaning up areas, providing notice to landowners in advance of brushing occurring in their area. So unfortunately, I don't have an answer to that question right now, but it's something that we'll have to definitely look at and get as we get more experience with the equipment.
Great, thank you.
Councillor maybe?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and through you. A couple things, and to Councillor Robertson's point, the chainsaw is only for the larger items that are maybe not fully taken down with the new equipment, which is great. I've actually seen it in operation myself on my own road there last year. So it is very efficient. The operator is very good. But to the other point that I brought up last meeting was the fences and such that could get damaged by the falling material. And again, that's really not on the owner's fault. And that's where I kind of fall with that one too, is there any compensation in repairing a fence or looking after any mediation of a repair if there's any required?
Comments?
Yeah, absolutely. If there is damage to private property, they should be contacting the township directly to contact the manager of roads. We have not received any, none. So if there is any damage to personal property, we need to know about it in order to look at it on a case-by-case basis to determine what the right correction may be.
Okay. I know we touched on this back whenever, just for Councillor Robertson's sake, as well as members of the public, the machine we're using now, we've never had to do brush cutting before. The procurement process was awarded, and the company that won the award for that machine did not have the size of machine that they had agreed to on the procurement process. It would have had to come from the US, and with tariff interference and everything, there was a fear that they could be out a lot more money by getting that exact machine. So what they did was supply a quite a bit larger machine to us at the same cost, naturally, because of the procurement process. So we ended up with a larger machine. So it has more reach capacity, both vertically and horizontally. So the operator is clearing more property and the part that needs to be reminded of residents, this is township property. And I agree, some of the roads look pretty damaged because of this machine, but it's because there's been very little work done in the past. And for this machine to come through and hit brush that's 5 or 7 years old or small trees, it's going to have an effect. And but we're trying to move back. The presentation made to us on council, and it was open to the public. Those pictures give a clear indication of what a road would look like, not peeled back, if you want to use that term, those that are. And there's a number of positives as to why. I won't get into all them now. But I don't blame the public for the initial look. But most of the negative feedback that I personally heard was in the spring of the year when foliage hadn't started to regrow anyway. So that always makes it look worse. But I think over time, this machine will come to be on the good side of everyone because, you know, if nothing else, your vision going down the road at night will give you a heads up if something's darting out from the ditch or over a fence, namely this time of year. Case in point, today I saw 2 deer on a frenzied run, one behind the other. Obviously something was chasing them. And when they're in that mode, no telling where they're going to go. They don't know themselves, I suppose. But I think, you know, the result in the long run of this machine and its purpose will do exactly what it was intended to do. Pardon me? Go ahead. You had a question? Maybe?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. There's one thing I did want to say is that I didn't read my notes fully, is that the control of invasive plants along the edge of the road was very important. And I've always been a proponent to get it back to the fence line anyways. You know, the more sight line we have on a lot of the corners and anywhere, but keeping that brush back so it's a clearer way. And the invasive plants, as we have said, have really taken over in our area, and it's good to see it clean. So thank you.
Well, it's a good point, Councillor. Maybe, I mean, if nothing else, wild parsnip. It's a very dangerous plant. If you touch it, you'll be the first to know. And to have it too close to the edge of the road, it leaves susceptibility to a dog or something if you're walking with it to go in there and for some reason you let your guard down and go to retrieve the dog. Yes, you're right. I mean, by keeping these unwanted species of growth at bay, it'd be to everyone's advantage. Good point. There is no motion or resolution, or sorry, agenda item on this tonight. It was an information piece. We also have the 11.1. I'll move on to that now. It was, I guess we're okay to read this. There's no objections to this. We received correspondence. Subject matter is tribute bench on dock. Dear Ms. Hannah, our clerk, on behalf of the group is organizing an event on June the 13th, 2026 to formally thank Dr. Debbie Briggs for her many years of dedicated service to the Sealy's Bay and area communities. We are requesting permission to place a bench bearing an inscription of gratitude to her at the municipal dock in Sealy's Bay they're referring to. Our preferred location, the one that was suggested by Jonathan and you in an email, is at the platform area in the harbor where there is room for an additional bench. Thank you, Mary Whitney. So that's what is being requested here in a letter to council. If there is going to be something come of that, then a member of council will have to make a motion and we can bring that forward. Is there any comments on this? Anybody have any comments about it? No? Pardon me? Okay. So you're indicating you'll make sure there's a motion coming forward. All right. Rising report and minutes from committees, working group, local boards. 12.1 TLTI Library Board minutes. You've all read those minutes that were presented. Is there any questions come out of those minutes? We have our esteemed library official here tonight in person as usual. Councilor Maybe.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and through you. I guess the biggest thing I can say, it's good to see a very well operating library system. And thank you, Cindy, for being part of that, because our first term, we had a little different angle on this. And having seen and participated in some of the activities that have gone on, it's great to see. Thank you.
Good point. Anyone else? No. 12.2, the peer working group minutes. They're posted. Does anyone have any questions regarding these minutes? Having read all those, I mean, it's pretty obvious our peer groups are busy. It's a busy time of year for all of them. And their handiwork is starting to show up in all the villages right now, namely in the flower beds and flower pots and what have you. And it's great to see these little villages and areas come alive with a little bit of TLC. Notices a motion by any members of council. Yes, Councillor Antoine Hartley.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. So I'd like to make a notice of motion that at the next council meeting, that we approve the placement of a commemorative bench in appreciation for Dr. Debbie Briggs by the Celebration Committee in a location suggested by staff and mutually agreed upon on the docks.
Okay. I need a seconder for that motion. Do you want discussion first? Oh, you're making that for the next council meeting. Okay, fair enough. Thank you for that. Any other notices of motion from members of council? No? Statements or announcements from council? Councilor Maybe.
First, I have a question, and then I have a list of things here. I had a resident come up to me just recently in regards to the garbage bins and size being small, and they fill up very fast at the Lansdowne dump. But his big question was the plastic bags that we put all our recycling in, which are clear. Before we put them in the bin, we have to tear them apart. The unfortunate part is some people don't have the strength, don't have the capability, but it's the best way of moving all the recycled products to the bin. So the question is, why are we having to open them when they're already a plastic? It's already a plastic tin glass bin, which is all going to be separated in the future. So some clarification perhaps on that can come back to us at some point on that. Thank you.
If I could, that would be best answered through a phone call to the manager of infrastructure or and environmental services, because he's
Right.
involved in the operation. So it would, that's probably the best way for that question to be answered.
I might be able to shed a little bit of light on that. Years back in my transportation days, I was at a large recycling facility in the city of Guelph. Very modern, even back then. It still would be in today's standard. I thought I had the wrong address when I was given that civic address to enter. I looked like I was entering a college or a park ground. It was a recycling facility. Inside that building, what you're referring to, these bags were already open. And the reason being, when it goes up these conveyors, they're, magnets and all kinds of, and there are a number of people with gloves on are physically sorting things. So that's why I would guess it needs to be open for the recycling process, the actual recycling process, not for what we do at our
Right,
waste
right.
sites.
Yeah,
That's just my take on that from having
Good
what
point.
I've seen.
good possibility. Yeah. Just that, some of the residents are having difficulty actually managing that. As much as they've taken the recycling there, it's not ending up in our ditch. So
I would
if there was some way of making it a little easier, it'd be nice.
I would think that most of our site attendants would be helpful. They may not be available at that moment. Some of our sites get pretty busy by times. I
Yeah.
think if a person was to set the bag in front of where they intended to be, somebody would take the upper hand and help that
Yeah.
happen. Make that happen, I should say.
Okay, so the rest of my information here
Sure.
is that I am away from the 11th of June to the 20th of June. I'll be traveling to the stateside
Okay.
as a visitor, just for heads up. Pride Week just completed in Gananoque. Participated in a couple of the events, the flag raising and the parade and a cry, of course. No tears were shed, by the way, just and coming up July 25th, Bark Bash in Gananoque, which again is another one that I participate in, and Oliver will be a participant in that one too. Rib Fest, June 26th to 28th in Gananoque, which is Rotary and Lions Club, and it's always a great event. Canada Day, I know Sealy's Bay has their Canada Day, but in Town Park or the Town Hall, 12 o'clock, Rotary Club is doing something. And then in the evening, doing something down at the waterfront for the town. And that's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Antoine Hurley.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. So I, on the same idea as you were speaking about the community groups, I'd like to thank them and for beautifying our villages. They're looking beautiful. With the assistance of $250 from the township for the purchase of flowers and the generous donations from residents and businesses who've stepped forward with donations and discounts for those groups. And it's so appreciated. Everything is just looking so gorgeous. As well as on my drive here tonight, I was noticing how well manicured everybody's lawns are. Everybody is doing a great job of beautifying this community. We live in a beautiful area, and it's nice to see everybody taking pride in this area and doing what they can. Just like to thank the township staff for the Touch a Truck event. What a wonderful event. Yeah, great hamburgers. I love the hamburgers. Great to see all the kids enjoying being able to touch and climb on all those big machines and big trucks and honk the horns. So I run around with those little vests. It was just wonderful. Great to see that. And just a reminder of Canada Day coming up in Sealy's Bay. We're going to go for a little bit of a traditional community picnic theme with some of those traditional games like three-legged races and stuff like that, just to give that kind of a different kind of spin on it and kind of nostalgia for some of us. The parade will be at 1 o'clock. Line up at 1:30, I think. 12:30, I think. And Silly's Bay residents are really excited about Wednesday night softball returning to Centennial Park. So there's many of us been saying, "Oh, are you going? Are you going?" So it's very exciting. And it's ages 4 to 6 are playing at 5:30, and ages 7 to 11 at 6:50. So if you're looking for probably some great softball, come on out.
That's great.
Thank you.
Any other comments, Councillor Angie Kelman?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and through you. This coming Saturday, it's Red Canoe Fest in Sealy's Bay with the Kids Fishing Derby. And also just a reminder to everyone in the township that it's our giveaway day. Is that what we're calling it officially?
Yeah.
Just where everyone that has anything free that's not garbage to put out. I've seen other municipalities do it. Kingston does it twice a year. I don't remember us doing it officially, but maybe we have. But anyway, it's a great way to share, and people can just drive around and just remember to put a sign out to say that it is free if you're just giving it away for curbside collection. And then just, don't leave it out there if it doesn't get taken by the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? I agree with you, Councillor Antoine Hartley, that private properties are adding as much to the beautification as anyone is. And there seems to be, as you had indicated, almost I wouldn't say competition, but the pride effect is coming through. I mean, there's some pretty impressive private properties when you drive around the township. Some of them you do a double take and realize the amount of work that's gone into them. So it's great. Maybe it had a lot to do with the weather this year. It really wasn't prohibitively hot so far, and people could work outside and be comfortable doing so. I have a message here, updates here. Candidate packages for mayor, council, school board trustee are available for download on the election page of our website at the administration office, or you can call and talk to our esteemed clerk and about that. There's lots of time. When's the cutoff? August 24th? 21st. Thank you. Throughout June, we are proud to recognize and celebrate Pride Month, Seniors Month, and National Indigenous History Month. So that should keep everybody motivated for a few weeks. There's a lot of activities involving all the above. Councillor, maybe you'd indicated you were heading up a parade in Gananoque on Saturday or Sunday? Sunday? Okay. I know next week there are plans for various seniors events around the township as well as outside. We encourage everyone to learn from one another and join us in celebrating the people who make our community vibrant, welcoming, and connected. Upcoming events included a senior celebration is being held Thursday, January 11th from 2 till 4 p.m. We encourage the community to come out and celebrate Seniors Month, enjoy some music, light refreshments, and an announcement of the TLTI Ontario Senior of the Year Award. It doesn't state here, but that's held at the community building, is it not? That from 2 till 4? Yes, it is. Okay. Sealy's Bay, Councillor Kelman had indicated the Red Canoe Fest, hosted by Savara and taking place June 6th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Sealy's Bay Harbor. Fun fishing for the kids with pro fishing guide Big Jim. A red canoe hunt will be part of the festivities. How big a territory does that take in? I'm curious. Okay. The 2026 Lansdowne Garden Tour is set for Saturday, June the 27th. Tickets are $15 and available at the Lansdowne Fresh Mart, the Lucky Dollar, Rapid Valley, Telephone Company, Twist Outlet, Gananoque Visitor Center. Lansdowne itself just wrapped up a very successful rodeo weekend this past Friday and Saturday. The attendance was phenomenal. Participation was equally as enjoyed, and they had a lot of lively music and a huge crowd in what we used to refer to as the agricultural barn in the evenings. So I'm glad the weather held out. It wasn't maybe the warmest, but maybe that was an incentive to either get dancing or ride a bull, whichever would warm you up quicker. But it was nice to see that there were local participants in those events. There was a local young man here who has aspirations of being a professional bull rider, and I think if I remember right, he won his class and ended up second overall in bull riding. So he hit that buzzer that coveted 8-second ride. It's not everybody's cup of tea to hop on the back of an angry bull, but he did and he succeeded. Is there any other comments or questions about what's coming up in the future? I know we had a relatively short agenda tonight, but I want to thank everybody. Our librarian, Cindy, did you have any comments you want to make? It is a committee of the whole. You're allowed to speak as long as you want. You're okay. Tracy, is there anything we missed? You're our community guru. Oh, we're good? Okay. Thanks for organizing those student recipients and getting them here and receiving their checks. That's always a fun, pleasurable moment for council and staff. Oh, go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Tracy, I'm sorry that I can't participate on the 11th, but, you know, yeah. Well, shed some tears then. Okay.
If there's no other, there's no closed session, I should add, so there's nothing required there. And I already have a motion here moved by Councillor Antoine Hartley, seconded by Councillor Maybe, that the committee of the whole adjourn at, and who has the official time? 6:47? Thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. All in favor? And carried. Thank you.